Hi guys, I want to discuss why men in most parts of the world, and especially in the West, are going their own way, completely avoiding dating women and getting into committed relationships with them. You see this happening everywhere now. Men have had enough, and they're going their own way. They're not dating women, and they are not willing to sacrifice their lives, time, energy, and resources for the sake of women. And as a consequence, men are not interested in having families of their own, raising their children, and living a stereotypical life based on a family unit. Men are even avoiding corporate life and trying to create other means of earning, because most of these jobs are now reserved for women, by women. In the last financial crisis, around 75% of men lost their jobs, and a large part of those jobs was in the manufacturing sector. Some people say that those jobs don't matter. I beg to differ. I think it's those jobs in manufacturing and production that enable more high-paid corporate jobs to even exist. If a large global organization is not going to produce the products it makes, how is it going to finance the salaries of those people who occupy its corporate headquarters? Also, most of those men who work in manufacturing are sole providers for their families. Women barely ever contribute to family expenses, from what I've seen. They keep it to themselves and have their husbands and boyfriends pay the bills. Additionally, the lone individual is far better suited for an office job. This is the issue. Men have difficulty keeping their office-based employment. I'm sorry, but no matter how talented you are, unless you're willing to act like a total beta, you won't be able to maintain your office job. If you don't think it will get to that degree, just observe the elder guys in that culture and see how much worse it is getting. And in order to do so, you'll have to go against your own manhood. I say this because it just isn't acceptable for guys to work in cubicles while taking commands from their supervisors. Over the past decade, we have seen a rise in the corporate sector, creating a better environment for working women, even if it means more expenses for companies. Women have a lot more say in every decision that goes into the office, and a woman only has to speak once against a man about anything. And that man will be shunned from the decision-making process or let go of because he made a woman uncomfortable. Men are thus choosing not to work. You now know that some of them will, on the positive side, turn it around, establish industries for themselves, and launch their own businesses. However, a majority of them won't. The same thing is happening in the educational system, so let me discuss it. Men are being forced out. Boys are being expelled from early childhood programs. The boys are being conditioned and stigmatized for nothing more than being boys. They are humiliated. They are grading people according to how well they submit, comply, and conform. These are not characteristics of men. It appears as though the strongest and healthiest guys are being punished for exactly that sort of conduct. You're sabotaging your best efforts and setting a poor example for others from a young age. Boys are being trained to have feminine wants, and the guys all around the cave in because they also want to win the approval of the women. It appears as though society as a whole is being kept captive, and everyone must proceed with caution. Your school system is taken over by women, who also vilify guys and stop teaching hard subjects. As a result, if any of you out there are interested in getting married and starting a family, you now have a son who excels at being still and performing tasks that have been allocated to him. Let's examine the judicial system. Should I even say anything at all? If you don't pay alimony, you risk going to jail, which is likely the only place in the world where males are sentenced to prison for failing to provide for a woman for the rest of her life. Consider this. Consequently, you begin dating a lady, and maybe you have a child, and then you split up. You're going to have to help pay for that child's upbringing, aren't you? Of course you are. Let's assume they conclude she needs to receive over $3,000 per month to care for the child and herself. In the meanwhile, you have financial difficulty and are unable to help. For a while, all you can afford to offer her is $1,000 each month. As a result, you're in prison. How does that strike you? But seriously, I'm saying you'll be locked up. What makes a man consent to that then? She may suddenly divorce him, take his children, his home, and everything else he has and has worked hard to get. She damages his reputation, forcing him to pay for her care for the rest of his life or face jail time. Love really is blind, isn't it? No man wants to love this much. No man wants a woman this much. Overall, men are basically victims of their own biology and their submission to women, and women are ready to use their bodies to influence men. Our society as a whole is focused on taking care of these entitled princesses, not toward productivity, efficiency, or constructing a future, but rather toward gratifying the fleeting whims and needs of a wealthy group that despises those who help them. Saying that they are not decent and honorable guys and getting a response like that is a tactic used on honorable men. The current state of the news business is that, As a result, decent guys are backing away from this, which of course encourages others to behave badly. Men struggle with this, which is why they are choosing to withdraw on all levels. I don't even know if what is currently happening here is intentional or evil, but it is an exploitation of the male nature. He wants to protect the women, he wants to be of service, he wants to be loyal, and he wants to do what's right, so you condition him to believe that what he's doing, he has to do for her because that's her birthright. Every time he disobeys your orders or ceases to be your servant, you can simply accuse him of disregarding that particular aspect of what it means to be a man, and he will comply. Men are supposed to do everything for women. That's what they expect. Men have to pay the bills, take care of household chores, provide meals on the table for the family, take the wife out shopping, buy her expensive gifts for anniversaries, pay for their children's social activities, physically please the wife, make sure he's emotionally available for her, and make sure she's happy. While the woman only complains. They point out men's negative sides and tell them they need to do better. And if they end up in a divorce, he is the one who has to pay for everything, and probably pay her a salary for the rest of his living days. Does that sound fair to men? I don't blame men for going their own way. They're protecting themselves from the drama and a loss of their resources and sense of self-esteem and integrity. And the worst part is that society will continue to do this to men. It will continue to subjugate them. It will teach sons and daughters how to do this. And it will go on and on until one day, women will lobby to create laws that will require men to marry. Failing to do so, they will be sent to prison. I can see that happening in the next couple of decades. What do you guys think? Thanks for tuning in, guys. Until next time.